Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Extra Time TV. This is Andre Sokla, joined by Kevin and James. Once again, we have a whole bunch to talk about today. A lot of craziness took place today. The big matches, we're in the big boy part of the table now, guys. You know, Brazil took on Croatia this morning, and Brazil, who were looking like the favorites, they were amazing in the last game, were eliminated on penalties. Guys, initial thoughts. Kevin, we'll start with you.
Well, I think apart from the last game,
Yeah.
I think Brazil were, as I said it in previous shows, were dependent on outstanding goals and outstanding individual performances. And I think I keep saying that at one game it's not gonna come off. And this is a game that it didn't come off. I thought Croatia were very resolute. You could tell that they had a clear game plan. They wanted to edge it or grind it straight to penalties. And of course they had faith in their keeper to save more penalties, and he did.
Yes, James?
Yeah, well, this was it started off a great game. Obviously, Neymar got that wonderful goal. Petkovic obviously got the goal for Croatia, but I think Brazil in a whole didn't do enough over the whole thing. You know, I mean, obviously, nobody likes to lose on penalties, and that's obviously how it went down, but you've got to give a lot of credit to this Croatia team. Now, remember, at the last World Cup, it was 3 penalty shootouts that went through to get to the final.
Yep.
So,
They love
could it
penalties.
be the same thing again? I don't know, but wonderful performance by them. Their coach, Dalek, obviously will be delighted, but Brazil, I'm really sorry, it's bye-bye Brazil. You know, they're back on the plane already. And what a day of football, though.
Yep, you know, the whole South American we'll talk about that as well. But, you know, tactically, you know, Tite kind of went with what we expected him, or Chiche, as you pronounce it. We did our preview, folks. You could check that out. You know, we got our prediction correct in some cases for the other game, but not this game. I'll tell you why I said that. Not our prediction, it's a FIFA prediction, and we did. And the FIFA predictions got it right. So we thought Brazil were going to edge because of the firepower they had. But in the end, Croatia did what they always did. Modric looked completely composed. They had one little blip at the beginning of the game. Brozovic looked really composed. Perisic, although he is a bit quiet, you know, he was very effective, kind of giving the Brazilians something to think about on the wing. And we spoke about this, the aging backline of Brazil, plus the wing backs. Croatia, when they really went at them, even though they only scored that goal in the end, they did create some chances though. Brozovic had a clear chance in the end. So do you think that Brazil, I won't say they were exposed, but they were put to their first real test? And it kind of showed today?
Well, I think one thing I would say is Brazil had the opportunities to put it to bed.
Yeah.
They did not, you know, and we spoke about in the preview the weaknesses they had at their full-backs.
Yeah.
But there was a period in the game, and I think we all looked at each other, and it was 5 minutes to go in extra time, you know, and they were able to get, or to put everything forward and get that goal. And from a Brazilian point of view, they'll be disappointed they were able to hold out, you know. And but again, it's game management. We've talked about its tactics.
Yep.
TJ will be disappointed. He probably won't have the job actually after this. He'll be looking for a new manager, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
But it's not good enough from Brazil. This is a team that should have been going to the final.
Yeah.
This is a team that were representing Pelé, which if he was watching, I think he would have been very disappointed.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But not good enough from a Brazilian point of view. From a Croatian point of view, absolutely fantastic. The fact they're able to get a good result again. I thought Modric drifted in and out of the game. He drifted very deep at times in the match, you know, but he was basically serving the ball up to the other players, and it worked. And as I say, Dalek has to be given a whole lot of credit for this fantastic performance.
Correct. Kevin, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I thought that for the first time in the competition, or the first time in a while, I saw Brazil play with what we call locally stay-at-home wing backs.
Yeah.
And I think that had to do credit to Perisic. I think that had a lot to do with Perisic. They know how dangerous he is coming up with that goal against Japan, that bullet header. So they know he's very, very dangerous. And Modric, I think as we go tactically, I think when they're chasing a game, they tend to drop Modric in line with their centre backs because, you know, teams tend in this World Cup especially not to press the centre back. So that way Modric gets more time on the ball, more time to serve the ball up. And you know, the first real barrage of attacks this Brazil defense faced, and they couldn't live up to it. And as we're on coaches, Dalek, you know, this is his second semi-finals in back-to-back World Cups. I think everybody was surprised that he stayed on, but I think there was an interview not too long after the last World Cup where he said he's staying on because he believes that his team could go to another final. So who knows what they have in their mind, who knows what they believe back in Croatia, and, you know, at this point in the game is who wants it more, who believes it more. So, you know, who knows?
Yes. I know, obviously, we know about the danger of Modric and Brozovic and Kovacic as well, who, you know, Inter Milan, Chelsea, he's a top quality player. You know, Kevin and I discussed that his one downfall is his final ball into the box is sometimes a little off. But he runs, he plays deep, And do you think, I will start with you, James, do you think that Brazil should have done more to neutralize those three guys? Because yes, they pushed them back at times, but they were able to adapt. Brozovic, those of you following Inter Milan, he's very comfortable in those kind of games. If you push him back, he loves that. And he does these looping passes, which kind of calms things down. Yes, they may lose possession, and then they get it there. And even though Perisic didn't get a lot of penetration, he gave the Brazilians something to think about. So do you think, Chiche got it wrong?
I think they did get it wrong, but what I would say is with the amount of quality they have going forward, that shouldn't even be an issue.
Right,
when you can bring on guys like, for example, Martinelli's had a great season, we know, at Arsenal.
Yeah.
You've got, obviously, Anthony who can come on there. He came on, but there's so much quality on the bench. I think he took off Vinicius Junior a bit too early, in my opinion. Yeah. So they shouldn't have had to neutralise that midfield. They should have had enough going forward to kill off the game.
Yeah.
And as I say, they had so much firepower, but they seem to be limp, and it showed today. They obviously got the goal from Neymar, which to me was a phenomenal, fantastic move.
Yeah.
Great interchange, great finish, but it's not enough. It's not enough from a Brazilian team.
Yeah.
It's not enough from the brand of Brazilian football. And as I said before, sadly they're going home.
And it continuously shows. We spoke about this through all our videos. No matter what form you're in, it means nothing apparently. Brazil looked scary, to be honest.
Yeah,
they were heading into this game. All of us pretty much thought we knew it was going to be a hard game. We knew that. And then this happened. So let's jump to Neymar. We're speaking about Neymar. Yeah. Before we get to the penalty kicks, the shootout, the goal that Croatia scored to equalize. It's almost like it's just like they thrived for this thing. They went in the extra time and they just turned it on, got the goal. And the more the game progressed, we all agreed that Croatia looks comfortable. Do you think Brazil defensively could have done more? Obviously, they could have done more because the goal was scored. But what do you think they got wrong in that thing? Because Brazil just had to hold out for a little while, which we'll talk about in another game as well, about concentrating to the end. What do you think about that, James?
Well, I think they made changes. For example, Fred and a few others came on later on in the game. But as I say, I think Tiche his tactical substitutions did not work.
Yeah.
And it was very evident. And I mean, we were talking about Neymar, for example. There was times in the game that he was holding on to the ball too long.
Correct.
He's a very good player. He's technically gifted. He can dazzle us with his footwork. But at the end of the day, if you hold on to it and you don't make that pass, it's pointless. And that's what he did too much in the game. But I think, as I say, Tiche got the tactics wrong.
Yeah.
As I say, he's paying the price now. But as I say, you have to give all the credit to Croatia.
To Croatia, Kevin?
Well, I thought that initially Brazil, when they went ahead, they tried to press Croatia, and I think they underestimated how good the Croats are on the ball. As
Correct.
you said, the three guys, Modric, well, we know about Modric, phenomenal, Brozovic, Kovacic, and I think it's three different types of players. Modric is more the sit back, find the long pass, where Kovacic is this driving type player that will be depressed with his runs, and then Brozovic is fantastic. I think he's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
He can be depressed with the runs, and he can pass the ball. So I think Brazil found it very, very difficult to press them, and then they had to revert into this compact kind of shape, and then Croatia sees that opportunity to put immense pressure on them. You have to think that the aging legs of Thiago Silva would have to give in at some point in time when he's just getting this ball. As soon as the ball goes out, it's back in at him. And I think, concentration played a big part. And Croatia, again, the technical ability, one chance, one goal.
Correct.
And that's how it goes in knockout football.
Yes, and obviously it went to extra time. It obviously went to the shootout. We saw how it went. What went wrong? Alisson is a top keeper. Croatia has done this before, as James rightfully said. It seems like Croatia they love this scenario. They almost, like, you could have seen, we spoke to each other. We were like, okay, this is Croatia. We knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it before. So, what do you think? I mean, there's not much you can say about shootouts. They're so unforgiving. But what do you think about Alisson's performance? And then there's Neymar we'll get to, but talk about Alisson right now.
Well, I think from a goalkeeping perspective, it favours the goalkeepers. I've always said that. It's a chance to become hero, you know, and he probably just didn't do. I mean, one thing before games, we always talk about goalkeepers doing their homework.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, all teams that I've been involved in, you study the players, you know where they're going, and did he do that enough? I don't know. Did they expect to get to penalties? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But his opposite number did.
Yeah.
And we saw that. So probably not good enough, but you can't, to me, judge it on penalties because it is a lottery.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the power that penalties are going at. You're talking maybe 70 to 100 miles per hour. So it's hard.
Yeah.
So that's why you need to do that homework and study the penalties. And as I say, it wasn't Alisson's day.
Yep. And a lot of quote-unquote big teams, like Spain as well, it shows you, the penalty shoot. There was a time, people, when you get a penalty, I was like, oh, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
And as James rightfully said, the game has changed now. There's a lot of analysis that goes into this. Goalkeepers know, especially if you're a popular player, it actually makes it worse. If you're unknown, maybe you have a chance.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about Neymar, Kevin. A lot of us were saying he should have stepped up in the shootout. He is a leader of this team. He really wants to be the face of this Brazil team. Do you think he should have at least, took one of the penalties, or that last one maybe he should have taken it?
Well, we have to assume that Tiche had the lineup of the penalty takers.
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah.
Thiago Silva probably would have some say on the field during that lineup, but I thought starting with a 21-year-old was a big risk. I mean, we know he had a meteoric rise this year, last year in Real Madrid, and we know these Brazilians, they tend to be professional very, very young, but I just thought starting with that young of a player was a mistake as well.
Right.
And I thought that given the penalty saves, that Marquinhos penalty becomes very, very important. Now, you could say that Neymar could have missed as well, or Marquinhos could be a better penalty taker, but I think, as you rightfully said, if you want to be the face of a team, you want to be called the best player on the team, pressure moments, you step up for. And I thought he should have stepped in there, and had he had scored, it give Alisson a chance to save the next kick.
Yeah.
Marquinhos, I think, was just, yes, he's a composed, experienced guy, but I think the pressure just about got him. And I think it was a mistake on Tiche and Neymar's part.
Well, I was going to counter you, Kev. I was going to say, from a coaching perspective, maybe Tiche obviously decided these are my 5, and Neymar wasn't part of it. As I say, we'd expect Neymar to obviously step up and take one. But so it could have been a coaching decision, and that's one thing we have to remember.
Yeah.
It could be that they've practiced it in training, and Neymar wasn't up to scratch.
Yeah,
There's so many things that could come into it. But at the end of the day, I would have expected him to step up, as you said.
Yes.
Well, I think, if you come into a shootout, win or you go home, you'd want your best player to take a kick. I would assume, unless your best player is your goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But,
well, there's been goalkeepers take kicks as well, so you never know that could happen.
Well, only Tiche and Neymar, but the Brazil camp would know.
Yeah.
But personally, I thought it was a bit of a lack of planning.
Yeah. I mean, let's all agree, it probably should not have gotten that far. Yeah. Brazil had the ability to kill that game off. And I think you're right. I think they underestimated the technical ability of not just the Croatian team, but even the centre-backs and their ability to defend 1v1 situations. I was very impressed. There were some situations I was like, oh, he's dead. Vinicius is going to rip that guy apart. And he held out. And, I'm going to reference, before we move on to the other game, because we'll talk about this game all day. Even in the Copa America final, I saw Vinicius, with the right patient defending, could be stopped at times. But you need immaculate concentration, and kudos to Croatia, they did it, because these guys are so talented. You get something wrong, boom, you get a penalty, whatever, that's how it goes. So folks, Brazil are out. Let us know what you think in the comment section about that, because a lot of people, were already putting them in the final. Some people already saying they were going to win. I'm genuinely surprised. I knew it was going to be difficult, but I thought Brazil had enough to go through. So, moving along, before we move along, James, let's talk about that trip we're always talking about. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, well, anybody that comes down and join us here on the Avenue, we have a trip for 2 to Tobago, so with our friends at Venture World Travel. So come down, support us, get yourself in that prize draw, and get the chance to win flights for 2 to Tobago. As I say, we all want that trip. We also have many other prizes. We have shin guards from our friends at Armourflex. We have 6 packs of beer. We have things from Angostura. And we have, as I say, that big final on the 18th, which will be so much shenanigans, so much fun. And remember, it's also football fancy dress, so we want to see you coming out wearing your football kit.
Yes. So, before we move along, we want to hear a message from the kind folks of Biotech. All right, folks, so we're back. So, obviously, as James said, that's our word, and I'm using it a lot more because, obviously.
Well, I think you're a bit 5 up on me because I've stopped and you started.
So we'll have our statisticians out there check how many times James said obviously and how much times I said obviously. Maybe Kevin snuck in and we didn't know. Maybe. Or obviously. All right, so, we're going to head into the other game. But before we head in, you're probably noticing my lovely watch here. So we're going to talk about that real quick. We have these lovely watches, Spain, Germany, Brazil, and so on. I'll have information in the description below where you could get them. If you come down to Smokey and Bunty's.
Andre, you're just saying teams that have all went out. Spain,
I know.
Germany, Brazil, I mean.
I'm just saying the loyal fans would probably still want their watches. Kevin likes his Germany. The loyal fans stick with their team. So, we have those watches. And when you come down to Smokey and Bunty's, you get them for $200. So it's, it's very nice. They have these versions and then they have the smart versions. So moving along. Netherlands took on Argentina. I am still recovering from that game. We all knew it was going to be a difficult game. I suffered through the entire game as a fan, but now, as I always do, analysis mode. Fanboy mode is off now. No emotions anymore. So we're going into the game. This game started off with Argentina, looking like they were comfortable. I'm seeing a trend with this Argentina team. And then, in the most miraculous way, literally in the last second, the Dutch managed to equalize and take the game to extra time and whatever. But guys, let's talk about, before we got to the extra time, let's talk about the first 90 minutes. James, what do you think?
Well, this was a very, very interesting game. Two teams that we know have quality all the way throughout. I thought the fact that Holland went with Napo, Depay and Bergwijn up top was a very interesting, not change, but he brought on obviously Bergwijn. And then obviously from an Argentina point of view, Alvarez started up front with Messi. But I think, to me, I was a little disappointed from Van Gaal. There was a lot more things that he could have done in the game. To me, Dumfries is one of their best players. He usually operates in that half space.
Yeah.
I don't think he got the chance to really get going today. I think he was more interested in kicking down some of the Argentinian players, to be honest. But it was a very physical game. It was a game that was a little different. And I think if you look at it for about the first 60, 70 minutes, probably Argentina were the better team.
Yeah.
And then Holland started to fight back. I think Van Dijk at the back rallied his troops and he started to kind of go forward and get that goal. And they were fortunate,
Yep.
But it's, as I say, I have to say I'm very disappointed for Van Gaal because I think this Dutch team promised so much.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Weghorst coming on and scoring the goal, delighted, but he will be heavily disappointed. And obviously he goes home now. This was his last competition, I think, as a manager because of his illness. So it's sad. We won't see him again maybe. But at the end of the day, I think the right team probably just won.
Yeah, Kevin, and Kevin has a lot of analysis he's going to give us. But let's talk about, because there's a lot to talk about this game. I'm going to have to try to condense it. The Messi goal. We know that he passed to Molina. I had to look twice before I realized how good the pass was. At that point in time, Argentina were in the ascendancy at that point. What do you think about Messi's overall performance and also like that pass to the first goal?
Well, I think I mentioned
penalty.
it. Yeah, I mentioned it to James maybe after the first 30 minutes or so that Messi looking in the mood today.
Yeah.
You really, really look like maybe vintage Messi where you really couldn't touch him, or when you do touch him as a foul.
Yeah.
And I think he kept the ball well for that pass, and I thought on the run that to slip that through there with his right foot as well, outside the right foot.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Messi so one-footed. I think it's the pass of the tournament.
Yeah.
And I think that Molina took the goal. I actually thought it was Alvarez, so well he took the goal, you know. So credit to him that he continued his run because I think he kind of gave Messi the ball. And Messi, sad to say, maybe for Croatia looks, a player on a mission. Maybe he knows personally that this most likely is his last, and he wants to go out with a huge bang. And what better way to go out than in the final or with the trophy? So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's one game at a time. So obviously, James, what do you want to add to that?
Well, the interesting thing as I was thinking is, as you said that, Kev, obviously it's Messi's last tournament, but it's also Modric's last tournament. So and then it could be Ronaldo. Well, it will be Ronaldo's last tournament.
Right.
So it could be basically a semi-final of last tournaments. I mean, so it's so entertaining. But I think one of the things I noticed in the game was the resilience that Argentina had. They kept going back. I thought really Holland lacked that penetration.
Yeah.
I think Memphis Depay did not turn up today at all. I thought he may have been the man that could have won the game if he played. As I say, I was disappointed my boy Simmons never came on to get an introduction into the game, maybe create something. But all in all, I think the right team won. We don't want games to go to penalties, we know it's a lottery. But I think, obviously, Martinez came up with some absolutely phenomenal saves. But on the other hand, I would say in game time, I thought Norpet had a very good game. He's been a goalkeeper. He got his debut, I think, in the first game in the group stage, and he's growing from stature to stature, and he's going to be a player that I think is going to be massive for Holland. I think in the past, if you looked at like Sillessen, all these goalkeepers come through, so he will be, I think, a legendary goalkeeper down the line for Holland. But maybe not to be, but Martinez came up massive for Argentina, and he's such a formidable goalkeeper. We spoke about this after the game, and I think going into the semi-final and the final with him behind them, anything could happen.
Well, I think overall Van Gaal was a bit too pragmatic with the type of players that he had at his disposal. I was surprised that Argentina went 5 at the back. Although you hinted at it maybe. I thought that at times in that game they were purposely not going through Dumfries because I think that they would have said Argentina did their homework and they would have know that we want to go through Dumfries, so I thought that they would not go into Dumfries. But I think for the first 75 minutes, it's probably the best defensive display I've seen from a team collectively in the tournament from Argentina. They look impenetrable. They look, Netherlands look like they were totally out of ideas, and in the end, I think it's just the barrage of balls into the box, nervousness, tired legs, and lack of concentration again comes in because I think it was Paredes.
Yeah. The bad tackle, yeah.
It was a bad tackle. The player was heading away from goal. His back was to goal. They had everybody back. I don't think he would have been any threat from that open play, and but kudos to the free kick. I mean, I kept telling to the person next to me when I was watching the game that the free kick this tournament has generally been bad.
Yeah.
So I say now, this is last kick of the game. It's gonna go over. Netherlands heading out, and then we see it had to, I don't know if it's the players or if it's Van Gaal, but I want to think it's Van Gaal because he's this wily old type of manager where he probably tell them, listen, don't go for goal, squeeze it into the box, and let's see what happens, because I think Martinez got caught flat-footed.
Yeah.
The defense couldn't react,
Yeah.
and credit to Wagos, he got both goals. I think he got the first header and just to squeeze that ball in. And at that point, I would have picked Netherlands for one reason: the match to Argentina might have seemed over.
Yes.
And that could really mess with your brain. You
Correct.
think that the game won, and then this last minute equalizer. I thought they might have turned off, and I thought that Netherlands might have pushed a little harder. But again, Van Gaal seemed to want the penalties. So
he seemed to have the resilience that probably Holland didn't have, on the field.
Maybe
And
Van Gaal should have
like,
put his
like
boots
that
on.
goal, as you say, that interwork of passing and movement. Even the fact is, I mean, even when Weghorst got in front of goal, he still had to beat Martinez. Yes, he was flat-footed, but I mean, wonderfully worked free kick, Kev, and something we would love to do on the training ground.
Yeah, for sure.
So one thing I noticed tactically, and we have a Dutch fan in the peripherals. We'll talk to him soon. But what I want to say before we move to the fans as well, where I think Argentina lost control of the game, when Rodrigo de Paul came off, Acuna, and I think it was Romero. I kind of knew, I was like, okay, Rodrigo de Paul is an important cog, not just his passing ability, but he adds that balance. And I was like, okay, Paredes hasn't been in the greatest form, and he showed. He was making a lot of rush tackles. He didn't seem like a calm influence, and you saw that Jot slowly started to get confidence. And then also with Tagliafico, hasn't been in the greatest form. He also brought in Petzela and these guys. And to be honest, they are good players, but I thought Argentina thought the game was done and dusted. And then when they got those goals, which building on what you said, Kevin, when they conceded that last goal, it showed a lot of people would have probably broken down under that pressure, because I thought they made their moves already. And offensively, they still had Di Maria. But I thought Argentina may have played their moves a little too quick.
But just a question, Andre. Messi got a yellow card for dissent.
Yes.
And then I saw a blatant handball.
Yeah.
A blatant handball for Messi, which I would have think any other player would have gotten a second yellow for that. And I was saying Messi come off there, that's the end. But that's football sometimes. What do you think about that?
Well, listen, like I said, not in fanboy mode. I'm going to go into analysis mode. What I saw, it looked like a handball. I'm going to be honest. So, folks, let us know what you think in the comments section.
But the other thing to remember, though, just on that point, is
Yeah.
Messi gets a yellow card, obviously, today.
Yeah.
The semi-finals, if he gets another yellow card, could you imagine, I'm just saying,
Missing the
hypothetically,
final.
him missing the final, and then the same thing happening to Ronaldo if Portugal get there too.
That would be such a shame.
I know everybody's setting up this big final between Argentina and Portugal if they get there, but it just shows you how intricate these players have to be and cautious, and make sure that they know that they're on a yellow, for example.
Yes. So, folks, we have our Dutch fan, our FIFA prize winner. We have to have a little balance on the show.
He's not a Dutch fan. He's a France fan, a Germany fan, a Dutch fan.
Hold on.
He's an anti-Argentina fan.
Hang on. Let me quantify this situation. Right? I backed France because Holland weren't in the World Cup last time. I've been a France fan since 1998. I mean, not a France fan, sorry. Holland fan.
He doesn't even know
He's
what confusing himself.
He's confusing me. James is confusing me. I've been a Dutch supporter since 1998. Okay, let's just make that prominently clear. But anyway, so
let's hear your opinions on the game.
honestly, I have to kind of agree with both points. Argentina were in the ascendancy mainly in the first half, and it showed with the way that they were performing. The Netherlands midfield looked like they were lacking penetration, lacking potency. The workload was too much for Frankie de Jong in a lot of situations, because I believe, I can't remember who the other midfielder with him. I think it was it wasn't Koopman, just because he came on.
Was Deroon?
Yeah. Deroon was letting him down as regards to partnership, because I felt like he got lost in the whole equation, because there were a lot of times when he got the ball, he misplaced a lot of passes. He couldn't find a lot of his teammates. He didn't have the kind of space to utilize, and it left a lot of work for De Jong to come back and also get back into that space to do a lot of defending to help out the back line. Because we know Holland's back line is not the quickest. You know, the fastest player there would namely either be Ake and Timber, and then Van Dijk was in the middle of that. Him in a 2-foot race against most of the Argentine players, he's losing. You know? In that instance, when I saw the goal, I think it was Montiel, I think was who scored it, or Molina. Molina was it was a well taken goal. I mean, that's a very composed finish for a right back. So I have to give him that. And then when I saw the second goal go in, I said 2-0. All right, yeah, this is over. I thought to myself it was a wrap. But then when I saw Vegas come on, I realized Van Gaal was kind of going for it, like, okay, he had some size going forward in the front line. Right. He allowed Vegas to be there. He took the pie off. He kind of was throwing a lot of bodies forward. He brought on Luke De Jong as well too. So it was basically like a twin tower front line in that sense. Yeah? And when I saw Vegas score, I was like, okay, they're making a fight of this a consolation. When they saw that free kick routine coming, I was the guy standing next to Kevin. So it was like, when we saw that, like, what just happened? I nearly lost my voice with the amount of screaming I was doing when that equalized.
And we actually have a fan reaction, actually, as the goals were scored, so we can pop some of those videos up, you know, after the show, to show you all, because here at Smoky and Bunties, it was absolutely crazy.
Madman.
Well, let me play devil's advocate again here. What you thought about the penalty decision? Penalty, no penalty, too soft? What you thought?
Felt it was a bit harsh, because I've seen tackles like that where players have gone down and the referees ignored it because it looked like more like a collision because it was a trailing leg. But I'm guessing he was looking at it to kind of keep some sort of balance. But I felt like he was very card happy, that referee, in that whole game. I'm not blaming him for the defeat. Let's get that clear. I'm not blaming him for the defeat.
No excuses.
Yeah, no excuses here.
Well, he's a Man U fan, so you know the full of those.
Yeah, that's why he's Bonobi in the table.
Right.
Anyway, folks, back to the game.
Back to the World Cup, which is what's going on right now. Like I said, it was a lot of feistiness. I mean, we saw a fight break out during one part of it where I think it was Ake got tackled by, I can't remember if it was De Paul or Paredes. Yes, Paredes. But yeah, that just goes to show that this matchup in itself has a feisty history. So they're not the best of friends.
So, Greg, one question before you go. What do you think is the future for this Dutch team? Obviously, I think they're going back to Koeman, if I'm not mistaken. Is it Koeman, I think, after this?
Anybody but Koeman.
Well, I think that's what I've heard. He is going to be the coach. And I know that means going back, because I think Van Gaal has done very well.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about that?
I'd rather get back Goose Hiddink. If I could get him back, I'd be cool with
that. Well,
that.
Goose, if you're listening in, there's your call there.
Save me. Anybody but Ronald Koeman, please, I beg of you. I'll even take Marco van Basten back. That's how crazy it was.
Oh my God. So we're going to have a separate discussion with Greg afterwards. I almost fell over. So guys, we obviously heard the opinions of another fan. We're trying to keep it neutral. We have lots of fans on here, fan reactions. Apparently I was caught by our cameraman, our director, me stressing out during the game. So that should be hilarious. I mean, I wouldn't like to look at myself, but we'll try it. So guys, let's just end things off. Argentina, Croatia are through. They're going to face each other. We're not going to do a full preview yet because that's a whole separate video. But what do you think about both teams' chances heading into the next game?
Well, I mean, I think this Argentina team have shown that they're resilient and they can come through it. I think it gives us a very, very good game between them and Croatia.
Yeah.
I would say Argentina, in my opinion, have just a little bit more in the tank. To me, every defence, midfield, every area midfield, attack, to me, they're a little bit up on Croatia. I think they both have two great goalkeepers. Yeah. So what I will say is I think it's going to be a fantastic game. It may go down to the wire again. And I think probably Messi will step up with some pass or some bit of brilliance to probably take them into the final.
Kevin?
I think it will be a cagey affair because I think Croatia's tactic is similar to Van Gaal, very pragmatic, keep the game tight until the very end. I do think if it goes wrong to penalty this time, Martinez might pull Argentina through. But I won't count out the Croats just yet. I think Argentina have to put in another solid display defensively because we see that you give Petkovic and Kamaric and Brozovic and all these guys just that little sniff.
Yeah.
And they could score. So I think tight game, maybe a 1-0, 2-1 Argentina or extra time penalties. But I think Argentina will just about make it.
One of the things I would say is I know all the Qatari people out there, the men especially, are quite happy for Croatia to stay a little longer with Miss Croatia out there supporting. I know they're enjoying that very much.
Yes, I know a lot of people are enjoying that. So, just to end things off, one thing I did notice, and I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, and I think it's a recurring problem for Argentina. While they have the technically strong players, they're very strong in attack, they could be very strong defensively if they want to be. They do lose concentration sometimes, and it complicates the games. Like, I thought there was a couple chances that Argentina had that could have probably made it even more of a distance, like 3-0. I think if it was 3-0, the game would have been done. But I think that's something they have to work on. So, folks, let us know what you think in the comment section below. I think that Croatia game is going to be absolutely tight. We're not getting the Brazil-Argentina that a lot of people wanted. Neymar versus Messi, it's always a clash between those two. So, folks, let us know what you think about the games, the fixtures, and then obviously the matches for tomorrow as well.
Well, tomorrow we know we obviously have that big one. We have Morocco against Portugal at 11 o'clock. And then we have the other big one. I don't want to talk about my favourite team, England, against France.
Lions.
2 absolutely epic games. Going to be fantastic. And I even think one of them at least may even go down to penalties again.
Yes. Kevin, any final thoughts on the games tomorrow?
It's going to be, I think that England-France is going to be a lot closer than people think. And I also think that if Morocco could bring Portugal down to penalties like they did to Spain, I just about favor Bono over Costa.
And not Bono from YouTube, folks.
Not that Bono. But we'll see.
It would be a beautiful day then.
But as I keep saying, this is the best World Cup we have ever seen.
He still hasn't found what he's looking for. One and all, folks. That's courtesy Greg, not me.
This is the best World Cup we have ever seen.
But if they win, it would be the sweetest thing. Oh my God.
All right.
Alright, I'll stop now.
So it's just me to do one now.
Yeah, you need to get one, Kev.
I'm not a huge fan of YouTube, but I think that the best World Cup we have ever seen.
Yeah, it would definitely be the sweetest thing.
Somebody made that one already, but the games are so hard to predict. But
I guess you're stuck in. You can't get out of it.
So we'll leave it there, guys.
I'm not gonna stop. Somebody stop me. Somebody stop me, folks. It's been a wonderful show. I'm in a good mood now, folks. I wasn't in a good mood.
You should have seen him before, guys.
I was not in a good. I'm back to.
He actually had a whole head of hair earlier, and it's gone now.
My hairline receded. It's my neck now, so it's gone. It's completely gone. I probably gained a whole bunch of pounds. I don't know. It's hilarious.
That's what happens when you watch football, folks.
This is the highs and lows of football. So once again, you can tell we're having a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun people around, and Smokey and Bunty's on the avenue. We've got the football fever, folks. Some people, it's not really good for some people, but it'll recover. And this is what it's about. Somebody has to go home, I guess. It was almost my team, but I'll switch back into analysis mode for the rest of the tournament. I try my best. Folks, let me know what you think in the comment section below. So, on behalf of James and Kevin, continue to join us for our daily episodes. We'll be doing our previews for the other games, and also we did our FIFA sims, which are actually accurate. The score lines were wrong. Brazil were knocked out in the sim we did this morning. You can check that out as well. And Argentina had a close game, I think, against Netherlands, but they were both right. So maybe we'll start doing more of those and gauge our predictions versus those. And if you want to play me, bring it on. Dracool10. So once again, folks, we'll let James end the show like we always do.
So after a fantastic day of football and 2 astonishing penalty shootouts, make sure you all tune into the greatest show on earth.